All right, welcome. In this explainer, we're going to break down the entire global media landscape, but we're going to do it from an investor's point of view. That means we're following the money, we're sizing up the risks, and we're hunting for the big opportunities in an industry that's being totally flipped on its head by digital.
Okay, let's just start with a number that sets the scene for everything we're about to talk about. $3.1 trillion. That's the projected revenue for the global entertainment and media industry in 2025. I mean, it's just a colossal market, and really wrapping your head around that scale is the first step to figuring out where the real value is hiding.
But a number that big can almost be paralyzing, right? It raises the big question. In a world where we're just drowning in content, streaming shows, TikToks, you name it, where is the money actually flowing? What's really driving the growth? And maybe more importantly, what's getting left in the dust? That's what we need to figure out.
To get that answer, we got to start with the 30,000-foot view. The whole industry's revenue engine, it's really powered by just two things: the money we as consumers pay directly and the money advertisers are spending to get in front of our eyeballs.
Now this chart, this tells you a critical story about where things are headed. Over here, you've got consumer spending. Think subscriptions, movie tickets, and it's growing at a nice steady 2%. But look at the other side. Advertising spending is set to grow more than 3 times faster at over 6% every year. For an investor, that gap is everything. It's a huge flashing sign that says the advertising world is where the real action is.
So if the ad money is where the growth is, where is that money going? Well, that explosive growth isn't just happening anywhere. It's being absolutely supercharged by the biggest shift of our time, the mad dash to digital platforms.
And the engine driving this whole digital revolution has a name you've definitely heard: OTT, which stands for over the top. All this really means is any media service that comes directly to you over the internet, completely bypassing the old gatekeepers like the cable companies. We're talking Netflix, YouTube, Disney+. And for an investor, that bypassing part is key, because it means entire, long-standing business models are being disrupted.
And to see just how massive this OTT opportunity is, look at this number. By 2029, global revenue from OTT video is expected to skyrocket to almost $319 billion. This isn't some little niche market anymore. This is quickly becoming the main way we watch video, period.
So what you get from this massive shift away from traditional TV is this incredibly complex and interconnected new digital ecosystem. It's this web of social media, streaming services, and online creators where advertisers are now pouring their budgets. Figuring out how to navigate this web is the name of the game, and it's where the newer, more agile companies are built to win.
Okay, so theory is one thing, but let's see how these global trends are actually playing out in the real world. We're going to zoom way in on a really fascinating case study, Pakistan's media market. It's a perfect example of an industry that's caught right in the middle of this massive digital transformation.
Now, when we look at Pakistan, the first thing that jumps out is a huge red flag for the traditional players. In the last fiscal year, total advertising revenue across the board actually fell by almost 12%. That shows you the kind of intense pressure the legacy media guys are under as ad budgets are actively moving elsewhere.
But of course, that's only half the story. You flip that coin over and you see this: an absolutely enormous and super engaged digital audience. I mean, just take one platform, YouTube. It has nearly 97 million users in Pakistan. That's where the people are going, and you better believe that's where advertisers have to follow.
This table here really lays out the transition perfectly. Yeah, sure, traditional TV is still the king of the hill, holding on to the biggest piece of the ad pie at almost 43%. But just look at digital. It has surged to take over a quarter of the entire market, cementing its spot as the strong number 2. You just can't argue with that trend line.
So, if you're an investor trying to play this, understanding this pivot means you have to pop the hood. You've got to really dig in and compare the fundamental business models and the financial health of the old guard versus these new digital-first players.
And here's where it gets really interesting, because the risks these two types of businesses face, they're on completely different planets. Your traditional TV broadcaster is fighting a war on two fronts. Their audience is shrinking, and they're dealing with strict regulations. Meanwhile, the modern media buying agencies, they're in a totally different kind of fight, one with brutal competition that is constantly threatening to squeeze their profits.
Let's just look at the raw numbers. For a traditional TV station, the cost structure is incredibly rigid. You can see it right here. Almost the entire cost, something like 96%, is tied up in just two things: buying or making shows and paying all the staff. Those are high fixed costs, and it's a huge reason why their gross margins got squeezed down below 27% last year.
But now compare that to a media buying agency. Their model is just so much more agile. Their number one cost by a long shot is their people. That makes them way more flexible. They don't have that giant fixed overhead for creating content, which gives them a completely different and arguably much better financial structure for navigating this changing market.
Okay, so we've covered a ton of ground, right? We've looked at the global trends, we've done a deep dive on a local market, we've compared the business models. Now let's pull it all together into that classic framework that every investor loves, the SWOT analysis, breaking down the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats.
And when you lay it all out like this, the core story of the industry just jumps right off the page. On one hand, you've got a strength in the established regulatory framework, which offers some stability. But that's being directly challenged by the massive weakness of a shrinking TV audience. The huge opportunity, no surprise, is the explosive growth in digital. But that comes with its own serious threats, like the fact that viewer habits are always changing, not to mention new risks like cybersecurity.
And really, all of this analysis, it all boils down to one final essential question for anyone looking to put money into this space. This digital disruption, it's happening, it's real, and it is reshaping everything. So the question is, do you see this as a terrifying risk that needs to be carefully managed, or is this a once-in-a-generation opportunity that's just waiting to be seized? Your answer to that will define the next winners and losers in this whole game.